ladies and gentlemen, to today's Rowdy.com Big Three, sitting alongside our friend and race car driver, J.J. Yeley. My name is Bass Masters. We have Jerome Buzz Cutler with today's three big burning questions that J.J. will answer, and I will nod my head.
Now, we're hearing a lot about the tire test. Down at Daytona, Jeff Gordon said expect us to go 3 wide. Dale Jr. said it reminds him of Talladega, not to anybody's surprise. You're going to Daytona in February, JJ. What are you expecting to find when you get there, and how's it going to change the way you approach things?
Well, it's definitely going to be 3 wide racing, and at some point you're going to see windshield deep race cars. Because, you know, the difference between Talladega and Daytona obviously is the width of the racetrack. You know, they can put asphalt down, it's going to give the cars a ton of grip, but at the end of the day, the racetrack is still roughly 15, maybe 18 foot narrower than Talladega. So you can go 4 wide at Talladega, still have a little buffer room for, you know, for mishaps,
buffering,
a little bump. Daytona, you're not going to have that.
Right.
You know, it's amazing the difference between the 2 racetracks. But you get up there, 3 wide racing is going to be tight. It's going to be exciting, and unfortunately, that closer racing of those kind of speeds, we know the end result. There's usually someone who's mad.
In recent years, we see this as a handling. Everyone will say, this is a handling track, this is a handling track. You get 10, 15 laps into a run, and you're sliding around quite a bit. And I guess that's not going to be the case anymore. So what does that mean? I mean, if you never take your foot off the gas.
It's just gonna tighten up the pack. It's gonna change the way Daytona has always been, and it's amazing as a race car driver. And people may not see this: the difference between Daytona in February and Daytona in July.
Right.
You know, usually the weather is nice enough that, you know, obviously handling is still a big part of Daytona, but you don't spend a lot of time lifting as much. The July race, nationwide, Cup, doesn't really matter.
Right.
And there's times where you're off the throttle like you would be almost at a 1.5 mile racetrack, which, you know, you go to a place you're usually running wide open.
Right.
It's kind of scary to know that your car's handling that bad. And everyone else's car around you is handling that bad.
Right,
so
right.
It's going to be, you know, there's setups are going to change. The racetrack's going to be a lot smoother, I hope, I'm assuming. You know, there were some pretty big swells and bumps in the old track. So, you know, it's going to lose a little bit of the character, but at the end of the day, racing is going to be one big, super big pack of wild and gnarly cars.
Let's move on to issue number 2. You know, we heard, and it was sort of surprising, that Casey Kane will be running the 4 next season. I don't know how Morgan McClure feels about that, but it got us to thinking, how invested emotionally are guys in their car numbers? Do
you care? Do you care what your number is?
I mean,
and how much, if so?
You don't, you know, you obviously you care, and certain numbers are more appealing than others. So at the end, you know, there's drivers and teams that are worried more about apparel sales, die-cast merchandise. You know, some numbers just are kind of ugly. You know, some guys, you know, obviously it surely didn't make a big difference because most of the guys haven't had that same number through their entire career.
You've already had to change numbers.
Right. So, you know, I mean, for me, you know, I've always run single-digit numbers through my life. You know, I've always liked 2, and number 5 has been my lucky number, but, you know, I haven't had those numbers in quite some time.
Right.
You know, it hasn't hurt my feelings at the end of the day as long as you're at the racetrack and people can identify with your car and your number. I think that's the most important thing.
Do you think most drivers kind of feel that way about it, where it's just a secondary thing, or are there guys that are more superstitious and
you want a certain number if you can get it, and you know, I'm still not sure how
they got the 4.
yeah, because I know with, you know, Morgan McClure running a race this year, they attempted Bristol, they bought their license. That number should be locked up until January 1. So I would assume that they should have first right of refusal, but you know, I don't know if something's been handled there or not.
You're working on a ride for next year, for this coming season. What's that process like? Is it just you on the phone constantly, taking meetings constantly? How are you going about securing a ride for 2011?
It's nerve-wracking because at the end of the day, you know, you're still not 100% for sure what's going to happen. You know,
right.
There's a lot of options still available, but at the same time, there's a lot of drivers looking for rides that weren't looking 2 months ago.
Like Scott Speed, for instance.
Sure, exactly. And you know, obviously, if he wins his lawsuit, he could probably just go by a beach somewhere and hang out. But it's a matter of spending a lot of time on phone calls, and this is like the pivotal time because, you know, budgets are almost set. You have to catch these companies before they go on Christmas break because then you run into a time crunch. Even if they say January 3rd that, hey, we're in, here's the money, let's go do something, you're talking less than a month to be ready for Daytona, which it's going to be tough. Most of these teams have the equipment.
Right. But what you do with that money, obviously that's a big question mark. If you got $8-10 million coming in the door, that changes things quite a bit.
Oh, surely you get the upgrade. just like anything else, you go to a car dealership and
Right.
you got this amount of money or you got this amount of money.
Right.
You're always going to go something that's a little bit better, shinier.
Yeah. I mean, do you meet with spot? Do you have to fly out to their offices? I mean, what are you?
It's a real tedious process. You spend a lot of time talking mainly with marketing companies that
I see.
handle the company's business. If it's something that they think is beneficial, they'll pass along. They'll have a meeting, between the two of them, and then that next step is going meeting with all three. Like I said, it's a very time-consuming process, and it usually doesn't happen very fast. I mean,
How much are you selling, like, yourself as a spokesperson for the, because that's a big part of your job as a driver, right? You're
Oh,
representing
absolutely.
the sponsor of this brand. And
You
how
have-
much are you selling performance, and this is what this race team can achieve on the racetrack?
well, you have to be the image for whatever they're looking for, obviously. And because it's gotten so much tougher now than what it used to be, I mean, you really give a lot more than you used to. I mean, before, let's say 50 appearances in a season was a pretty good number.
Right.
Well, I mean, now if you need 80, if you need 100, if
Right.
you need to come
That's
wash
what you need
if you
to-
need to go wash the floor, wash your car,
Right.
mow someone's yard, I mean, it's a matter of survival, and that's the difference in this sport now than maybe 3 years ago. Is there's a lot more guys out there looking for something, just trying to survive in the sport than what there was before. At the end of the day, it's all about networking, finding as many people as you can to help you, and I mean, it's usually about who you know, not what you know.
Sounds
Well-
exactly like finding a job to me.
If
I
you
mean,
would
like
like
a regular job.
if you would like to tell some of these marketing companies that you have the ear of the Rowdy Nation, I'm
Yeah.
sure that would help, and you're more than welcome
Yeah.
to use us
Absolutely.
to help you get in the
Well,
door.
Wear
That's
whatever
great.
products,
That's
eat,
great.
drink whatever products, use whatever products we have to get you that dream ride for 2011, JJ.
Okay, well,
As long as Rowdy gets on the hood. And we don't need all the races. Just give us, like, the Bristol Night Race, the 600,
Yeah.
you
I kind of
know.
was thinking Darlington maybe would be a nice one,
Yeah, just
to change it up a little bit.
I'll tell you what, if things don't change and we have to do some of the races where I might not be running the entire race, maybe I'll get a rowdy.com uniform. Would that be cool?
That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
I could think of something
But
you could
no, on
wear.
YouTube, it's not going to be pink or nothing. I mean, it's going to be pretty standard.
Yeah, it's got to be manly.
Yes.
Like Rowdy.com.
Exactly, we're very manly.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.